angels, there's been many people that have been coming to me of late talking about angels, archangels, and the different variation of angels. And it's a big industry. It's a massive industry. It's an industry to keep you disempowered. It's an industry to not learn to trust yourself or believe in yourself. It's an industry to take away what you need to work on yourself, to trust yourself, to believe in yourself. Many years ago, I believed in angels, and with the angels came demonic attacks. And with that, so I started to investigate with my abilities. And with that, I started to see that the angels and demonic energies work together and use human beings as batteries. They siphon off the energy off you. Your energy is vital to them. It keeps the technology alive. They're not actual beings. They are technology. So if you're praying to angels or giving your power away to angels, you're actually giving your power away to technology that's using and abusing you and manipulating you and deceiving you. You need to learn to trust yourself, to believe in yourself. And if that is a stretch, then turn to a human being, not to
I did a session last night with a gentleman, and it was quite cool because I kind of saw more of how the matrix manipulates us, and you know, I'll tell you a little bit background. Basically, last night I saw what would people deem as a spirit guide. The spirit guide. And when I spoke to this, so when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, there's a being just outside your field. It was a male being. And when I spoke to him, his job was to keep this person on the life path that he was programmed to be kept on. And I haven't done spirit guides for a long time. And because I think it was about 5 years ago, I went to, you know, it's about 5 years ago, I started going to, you know, those churchy things where you sit around in circles and you meditate and connect with dead people and spirit guides and bring in psychic messages and stuff like that. And I started doing that, and it was good. I enjoyed it. And I connected with supposedly a spirit guide, and he looked like Gandalf. I ended up calling him Gandalf out of Lord of the Rings. And you know, got on well. And when I was like unsure about things or insecure about things or what direction my life needed to go in, I would go to Gandalf, and Gandalf would advise me, and had a very sort of lovely energy, and I trusted him. And then one day something happened and I disagreed with him and decided not to take his advice, and he quickly lost the love and light appearance, and actually attacked me, which was very odd and very confusing. And but from then I thought, better off without a spirit guide. Yeah, don't. Another person not to trust at that time. Life's great, isn't it? So anyway, I didn't learn my lesson there. I went forward, and angels came into my life, and I started to trust these angelic beings, and they made me believe that my psychic messages was from them, and I was, you know, an earth angel, and that's how they stroked my ego. And I had angels all around me, and I would see other psychics, and they go, oh yeah, you've got this lovely angelic energy around you. You can tell you work with the angels, and I was hooked for a good year, you know, and I would give out angel books and like a religious thing. Well, it is very much a religious thing. It's based on the God program. So anyway, my life actually got worse, and I realised that these angels were not of good intent in the end, And now when I look, you know, if someone's surrounded by angelic energy, when I look inside the matrix, what I see is they're surrounded by machines that project the angelic energy onto their consciousness. Therefore, it's reflected into this reality. And these angels are just machines, part of the matrix, to manipulate us and control us. That's why the angel thing is big, you know. If you think something's big in this reality, you know, they encourage it, and then stay clear from it. That's what I'm learning. And it goes in line with the God program. So the God program inside the matrix is the first program that the architect created, and it's a program that is what is the reason for religion in this reality. We wouldn't have religion if it wasn't for this program. Therefore, all the praying and going down on your knees and asking for help and please be saved, what people are actually doing when I look into the matrix is actually they are praying to a machine, to a program. It's going to upset a lot of people, but that's what I see.
My spiritual journey has definitely been a roller coaster ride, healing my trauma, taking responsibility for myself, all these things that happen. But along the way, you want to hang on to something because it's scary and vulnerable to be alive. And one of the things that I started to hang on to back in the early days was angels. I read a lovely little book called Angels in My Hair, and from an Irish lady. And I was fixed, and I just thought, I've got angels, got these beautiful light beings looking after us. And then I started to pray to the angels, and then quite soon, demonic forces. I started getting attacked, me and my whole family getting attacked by demonic energies. And then we went through hell for many months, and using my remote viewing skills and understanding what the hell was going on, I started to see that the angels and the demonic energies were actually using me as an emotional battery, and that's what they do with everybody. So and that it was actually technology. They weren't actually real. It was technology that was doing it. So don't give your power away, and if you're giving your power away to somebody, make sure you truly understand who they are and what they're doing.
I want to talk about something that is not talked about nearly enough, if even, and that is the topic of how when you call in and work with entities, you are actually blocking your very own intuition, in addition to other detrimental things that can happen as well. And this is something that is really not talked about in the spiritual community at all, and there are several reasons for it. So I want to go through those in this particular video just to give you an idea of what is really going on. Most people who are following my messages already know that calling upon entities can be quite detrimental to your life and actually outright dangerous to your energy and even life path. However, there's another aspect to it, and that is that you are actively blocking your very own innate intuition. We all have it, by the way, when you decide to call upon entities instead of just psychically tapping into things yourself. And you can do that without the help of any entities. And I actually discuss how you can do that in my Intuition Master Course. I'll put a link below. So this topic, as per usual, can be very triggering to people who were taught the opposite. And spoiler alerts, most of us who are part of the spiritual community or who were part of all the brainwash that went going on, we were taught the opposite, and it goes hand in hand with the New Age agenda in general, also the religious agenda, to simply teach that in order to get any type of insight or any type of protection when you come to religion, where you're supposed to call upon angels and everything. So you have to call upon angels, archangels, spirit misguides, as I like to call them, deceased ancestors, perhaps even aliens, ETs, such as the Galactic Federation of Light and many other entities. Or when you go to more traditional shamanic practices, you have to call in the spirits of the north, the south, the west, the east, all of that. And if you don't do that, you're absolutely helpless and unable to psychically read on things yourself. Does that sound familiar? Most of us will have gone through it, indeed. And in addition, let's just say you were completely able to see through all these deceptions, and you now decide you can simply trust your very own insight without any outside interference. Now you enter another minefield. Perhaps you want to be part of a community, and you want to be part of a cacao ceremony or a sound healing circle or anything really. But instead of things just being very innocent, the teacher is now calling in those entities or things, or suggesting for the group and class to call upon them. And again, this can put you and your energy in a very iffy situation, because one, it's already bad enough you are surrounded by compromised individuals. But second, now you are putting your very own energy in danger because others around you are calling in a whole bunch of things, and this may or may not have an impact on your energy. And most of the time, unless you have very strong protection, it will have an impact on it negatively. This can also happen when you have a reading with a psychic, just for your information. Like you just want to have clarity on some topic, but then this person goes ahead, calls in all sorts of things, none of which are beneficial or needed, by the way. And now your energy is compromised due to that. So the pitfalls and rabbit holes go so deep, to be honest with you. It's this entire psychic and spiritual industry. It's almost impossible to be aware of them 24/7 unless you truly do stay away from all of that. Now, let's just summarize from previous videos, because some people still do not really understand it, or they haven't watched those previous videos, and that's totally fine too. What are these entities really, and why are they not to be trusted? First of all, these entities are never who they say they are. They're tricksters, and they love to disguise themselves as a million different versions of who they are. One day they will be this, the next one they will be that. And you keep thinking you talk to Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Mother Mary, your deceased grandmother, some sort of alien, all in a day or on different days, when in reality it was one and the same trickster messing with you. This is for people, you know, who did the channeling and whatnot. Most likely it's always one and the same entity in their energy field, like some sort of attachment or even entity possession. And you see that very, very clearly when you look at their eyes and you look at their energy field too. Like I can see it very clearly when I see something over their eyes. It's like, oh yeah, it's just another entity attachment, making them so-called blind, you know, psychically blind to what's really going on. And these entities, what makes them so dangerous, you know, you could argue, okay, so I'm just going to channel a random entity. So what? You know, some people might still have that attitude, but these entities follow their own agenda. They want you deceived. You just have to understand that. Most don't care what that does to your life, what their advice, what their whatever does to your life. They don't care if this advice ruins your life. They're mischievous entities for the most part, who will drop you like a hot potato the moment their purpose is done. They don't need a reason to drop you. They will just do it. And then you're just standing there. Your life is in shambles. You're insecure. You have no idea what your intuition even sounds like, because it's been continuously confused and misled by these entities. Some people even have suicidal thoughts, by the way. And that's usually when you try to exit the new age, all of that, that's when they come in rushing in, you know, all those bad thoughts, everything, because the entities need someone and something to write off of. And that's exactly what's also going on. Like I already said in the previous video, the girl who was channeling, a whole bunch of entities around her, in her, whatever, you know, called it attachment or possession, what that individual is going through. These entities are banking off of people watching the videos she's posting so that they can ride and feast off of the energy of those people. And if you scroll through Instagram or through social media or even YouTube and you feel completely drained, and for me that happens occasionally when I look at a few of these accounts, it's even mainstream accounts, not even new age accounts, but even regular mainstream accounts, I feel drained all of a sudden. I know they're trying to hook your energy into their account somehow. And that usually is what happens with those accounts. So I can't even look at those for a longer time period anymore. I'm just too sensitive to that. But for some people who are starting out, you might not really notice what's going on. And the entities are eager to drive a vehicle, meaning your body, to the ground, or see how much they can control your life. And this means screwing your life up. They're certainly not those loving and high and mighty entities the new age keeps saying they are. Same with religion, by the way. Same thing, just a different, you know, version of it. Religion wants you to call upon the protection of the archangels. That's usually a huge one. Or, you know, call upon God for this and that. So anyhow, they are astral entities. This means they are mainly AI. I want to argue they are all AI, even. They can cause high damage in terms of your energy, your mental health, your body, your soul, and your spirit. Some people turn outright suicidal once those entities stop being in their field, meaning once they were dropped hot from one day to another. It doesn't matter if you channel them only for a few weeks or a few years. The damage has been done regardless, and it's best to get away from them as soon as you can. And I once had a client who went through the absolute worst case scenario. She was calling upon them. I believe it was angels, from what I remember. This is already like a few years ago. Angels, spirit guides, ancestors, something like that, you know, pretty new age tactics. I think she was giving angel card readings, daily channelings, and whatnot on one of her social medias. And then from one day to another, these entities abandoned her, leaving her completely depressed and borderline suicidal. And her entire life had been turned upside down from one day to another. And she had to figure it out on her own. Because when you're in this type of community, meaning the New Age community, you know, they always preach that if you're not high vibrational, or the people around you aren't high vibrational, just cut all ties, cut all contact. And for a lot of people, that does mean distancing themselves from their own family, parents, whatever. And sure, some people might not have a great relationship to their family, but the point was you're usually kind of isolated because it's like a cult-like mentality that's going on. And this is not the exception, you know, so it happens to many, hence why from one day to another, the message of your favorite guru also somehow changes, or their eyes look really desperate, more desperate than they should. So actually Full Good comes to mind when I think about that. This is already probably 6 years ago. And I have him in one of my videos too, a review on him. But basically he was channeling some Arcturians or white light angels or something. And legit from one day to another, as someone actually told me who was friends with him, completely stopped, and his message is completely changed too. And it happens to the gurus, it happens to regular people. It's way more common than people think. And for this client that I had, she claimed she lost all her psychic gifts the moment the entities left her life. But I disagree. Your innate psychic gifts can never go away. They can never be taken away. But most people just don't know how to tap into those, and that's the issue. And I know of at least one more seasoned psychic who's been doing this for like 30 something years or whatever, who always says, oh, when you do something bad, your gifts can just be taken away by the universe, by God, by whatever. Bogus. Nothing can be taken away. Like that's kind of like saying your leg can be taken, you know, something that's a part of, yes, of course it can be taken away in an accident, like don't get me wrong, like one of your body parts. But the thing is, who you are can't really be taken away. You know, it can be altered and broken down and all of that. But, you know, channeling with entities, that connection can be taken away, which is very good in my honest opinion. And so the more you start getting away from them, the better. But your own innate inner voice, inner intuition can never be taken away. And that connection can be strengthened. But for the most part, people will never teach you that.